Chapter 7 of The Clue of the New Pin by Edgar Wallace. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Read by Yoganand. The Clue of the New Pin. Chapter 7. From where he stood, the light caught it and sent up a thread of silvery reflection. He stooped mechanically and picked it up. "What is that?" asked the detective curiously. "It looks to me like a pin," said Tab. It was a very ordinary pin, silvery bright and about 1.5 inches in length. In that sense it was an unusual size, though it was the kind that is commonly used by bankers, who delight in fastening large documents together by this barbarous method. It was not straight. There was a slight bend in it, but otherwise it had not remarkable features. Tab looked at it stupidly. "Give it to me," said Carver. He took it in his white-gloved hand and walked to a position under one of the lights. "I don't suppose it has any significance," he said, "but I'll keep it." He put the pin carefully away in the matchbox where he had put the key. "Now, Tab," he said more briskly as they went out of the house together into the bright sunlight, two unshaven, weary-looking men, "you have the story of your life, but go easy on any clues we have found." "I didn't know we had found any," said Clue, "unless the pin is a clue." "Even that I should not mention," said Carver gravely. When he got back to his flat, Tab found the lights of the sitting-room blazing and Rex Lander fully dressed, asleep on the settee. "I waited up till 3, yawned Rex. "Have they caught Walters, or whoever it was?" "Not when I left Carver, which was 10 minutes ago," replied Tab. "They suspect that man Brown. His gloves were found in the passage." "Brown? The man from China?" "It was pretty awful, wasn't it?" asked Babe in a hushed voice, as though the fearfulness of those moments through which he had passed were only now appealing to him in their sheer terror. "My God, what an awful thing! I have tried not to think about it all night. That horrible memory persisted so that it nearly drove me mad." "I have one bit of good news for you, Rex," said the other as he began to prepare for bed. "That is unofficial." "You found the will, did you?" asked the other listlessly. "I'm afraid I'm not interested in his will just now." "Who gets the money? The dog's home or the cat's creche?" "It goes to a stout young architect," said Tab with a grin, "and I can see our little home breaking up. Maybe I'll come and see you when you're rich, Babe, if you'll know me." Rex's impatient gesture silenced him. "I'm not thinking about money. I'm thinking about other things," he said. Tab slept for 4 hours and woke to find that Rex had gone out. When he came into the street, the special editions of the Sunday newspapers were selling with stories of the murder. The news editor had not arrived when Tab reached the office, but he turned in the rough narrative of the tragedy to guide the office in his general search for Walters and Brown. He went on to Mayfield, but Carver was not there, and the police sergeant in charge of the house was indisposed to admit him. Carver, being a single man, lived in lodgings. Tab surprised him in the act of shaving. "No, there is no news of Felling. And Brown, who is a much more difficult proposition, has disappeared from view." "Why is he more difficult?" "Because he is unknown. In comparison, tracing Walters is child's play." "Yet we haven't even found him," said the inspector, wiping his face, "which is rather surprising, considering that we know his usual haunts and acquaintances. None of these say they have seen him. The cab driver has come forward in answer to a hurry-up call, and says he set down Felling at the central station. They stopped on the way to buy a hat, apparently." Carver had not been to the station that morning, and even if he had, he could not have given the news which was to startle Tab later in the day. "Have you formed any fresh theory, Carver?" Carver looked out of the window and pulled his long nose thoughtfully. He was a tall, thin man, with a lean face that was all lines and furrows. In repose it was melancholy in the extreme, and his gentle, apologetic tone seemed somehow in keeping with his appearance. "There are several theories, all more or less fluid," he said. "Has it occurred to you," asked Tab, "that the shot might have been fired through one of the ventilator holes?" Carver nodded several times before he answered. "It occurred to me after I left you, and I went back to make sure. But there was no blackening of the grating, such as there would be if a pistol of sufficient small caliber had been pressed against one of the holes and fired. Added to which, there is this important fact that the bullet of the size the doctors found in Trezmia's body would not go through any such hole." Carver shook his head. "No, the murder was committed actually in the vault, either by Brown, by Walters, or by some third person." Tab had a few independent inquiries to pursue, one of which related to the cook. She had already been questioned by the police, he discovered, when he reached her little suburban home. A quite motherly and unimaginative woman, there was little she could tell him. "It was my day off," she said. "Mr. Trasmere said he was going into the country, though I don't suppose he was. He had said that before, but Walters told me to take no notice. I've never seen Mr. Trasmere," she said to Tab's surprise. "All my orders came through Mr. Walters, and practically I was never inside the house except once, when the cleaning woman did not turn up in the morning, and I helped Walters to tidy the master's sitting room. I remember that morning, because I found a little black lid. Well, it was hardly a lid. I have got it here, if you would like to see it. I've often wondered what it was for." "Lid?" said Tab. "What kind of a lid?" "It was like the lid of a small pill-box," explained the woman, "about the size of a threepenny piece. I picked up and asked Mr. Walters what it was for, and he said he didn't know. It was on the floor near the table, and I brought it home, meaning to ask my husband what it was." She went out of the room and returned with a lid which proved on examination to be a celluloid cap such as typists used to cover their keys. "Had Mr. Trasmere a typewriter?" "No, sir," she answered, shaking her head. "Not so far as I know. I've never seen one. As I say, I've only been that once into the house. The kitchen is built away from the living rooms, although it is connected. Mr. Trasmere gave strict orders that I was to keep to my kitchen." Tab looked at the little cap which he held between his finger and thumb. It was undoubtedly part of a typist's equipment, and yet Mr. Trasmere had never employed a typist. He always wrote to Rex in his own hand. "Are you sure nobody came during the day to take your master's correspondence?" he asked. "No, I'm perfectly sure Mr. Walters would have told me. He used to complain how dull it was because nobody came to the house at all, and he was rather partial to young women, so I'm sure I would have heard. Have they found Mr. Walters? I'm certain he didn't do it." Tab satisfied her on that point. "Do you know the Greens?" he asked, remembering just as he was on the point of leaving the house the witness to the old man's will. "No, sir, not really," she said. "Mrs. Green was cook before me, and I saw her once the day I came, and Mr. Green too. They were a very nice couple, and I don't think the master treated them very well. Where are they now?" "I don't know, sir," she said. "I did hear that they had gone to Australia. They were middle-aged people, but very strong and healthy, and Mr. Green was always talking about going to Australia, where he was born, and settling down there. Did Green or his wife have any hard feelings against Mr. Trasmere?" She hesitated. "Well, they naturally felt so, because they had been accused of thieving, and Mr. Green seemed to feel the disgrace terribly, especially when the master had their boxes searched because he had lost some valuable silver and a gold watch." This was news to Tab. He had heard of the foot pilfering, but he had not heard of the other losses. She could tell him very little more, except that Green had acted as a sort of butler. "Was Walters there at the time?" asked Tab. "Yes, sir. He was Mr. Trasmere's valet. After Mr. Green went, Mr. Walters was butler and valet too." Tab went straight to the office to write the story up to date, but he knew that it was a waste of labor, since some news was certain to come in before nightfall. The news editor was at his desk when he pushed open the big swing doors and came into the newsroom to report. "These front-page crimes always come together in shoals," complained the news editor bitterly. "I have another very good story." "Well, give it to a good story writer," said Tab. "This case is going to occupy not only my time, but the time of half a dozen men very fully indeed." "What is the new sensation?" he asked sarcastically. "An actress has lost her jewels." "Which does not sound tremendously exciting," said the news editor, fishing for 2 slips of paper on which he had made a rough note of the case. "But you needn't bother about that. I'll put another man on the story as soon as I can get one." "Who's the actress?" "Ursula Artfen," replied the editor, and Tab's jaw dropped. The end of Chapter 7.